What happens when desperation meets opportunity and two franchises realize they might need each other more than they'd ever care to admit? The NFL offseason has been filled with quarterback drama, but none quite as intriguing as the brewing storm clouds gathering over both New York and Atlanta. While the Jets are betting their entire season on Justin Fields, a quarterback who's never thrown for more than 20 touchdowns in a single season, the Falcons are stuck with a $180 million mistake that's haunting their salary cap and their playoff hopes. This isn't just another trade rumor mill story. This is about two organizations staring down the barrel of potential disaster, and how one franchise's desperation could become another's salvation before the 2025 trade deadline arrives. The Fields experiment. High stakes, higher risk. Let's cut through the noise and talk about what everyone in New York is thinking but nobody wants to say out loud. The Justin Fields signing is one of the biggest gambles in recent Jets history. Sure, Fields went 4-2 as a starter in Pittsburgh last season, but that record comes with a massive asterisk. He was playing behind one of the league's most dominant defenses and relied heavily on a ground game that masked his passing limitations. The harsh reality? Fields has compiled a dismal 10-28 record as a starter during his NFL career, primarily with Chicago, and has never reached 2,600 passing yards or 20 touchdown passes in a single season. For a Jets organization that's been desperately searching for quarterback stability since the Joe Namath era, this feels less like a calculated risk and more like rolling dice with the franchise's immediate future. But here's where the story gets fascinating. The Jets didn't just sign Fields and call it a day. They've maintained significant salary cap flexibility, almost as if they're preparing for a midseason pivot. And with senior football consultant Rick Spielman in their front office, the same Rick Spielman who has deep ties to Kirk Cousins from their Minnesota days, the pieces are aligning for what could be one of the most shocking midseason acquisitions in recent memory. Atlanta's $180 million nightmare, meanwhile. Down in Atlanta, the Falcons are living through every franchise's worst nightmare. Being stuck with a quarterback they no longer trust but can't afford to release. Kirk Cousins' first season in Atlanta wasn't just disappointing, it was catastrophically bad by his standards. 18 touchdown passes against 16 interceptions? That's not just a rough patch, that's a complete system breakdown. The most damning indictment of Cousins' performance wasn't the statistics, though. It was the timing of his benching. Atlanta made the unprecedented decision to bench their $180 million quarterback with 3 games remaining in the season while they were still firmly in contention for the NFC South title. Think about that for a moment. A franchise chose to roll the dice with rookie Michael Penix Jr. rather than trust their veteran quarterback in the most crucial stretch of the season. That decision sends a message that reverberates far beyond Atlanta's locker room. It tells the entire league that the Falcons have lost faith in their massive investment, and when an organization loses faith in a player carrying that kind of contract, trades become not just possible, but inevitable. The perfect storm scenario here's where this story transforms from speculation into genuine possibility. The Jets are entering 2025 with championship aspirations, but questionable quarterback play. They've built a roster designed to compete now, with elite receivers, a solid running game, and a defense that can keep them in any game. But none of that matters if Fields can't deliver when the lights are brightest. Brad Gagnon of Bleacher Report perfectly captured the Jets' predicament. They have the salary cap flexibility to make a major move, they have organizational connections to Cousins through Rick Spielman, and they're in a position where a midseason quarterback change could actually make sense if Fields struggles early. The timeline works almost too perfectly. If Fields starts slowly or worse, suffers an injury, the Jets would find themselves in immediate need of a veteran quarterback who can step in and manage games while their elite skill position players do the heavy lifting. Cousins, despite his struggles in Atlanta, has proven throughout his career that he can be exactly that type of quarterback in the right system. Why this trade makes sense for both sides for New York. Acquiring Cousins would represent the ultimate hedge bet. They're not giving up on Fields entirely, but they're ensuring they have a veteran safety net if things go sideways. Cousins brings something Fields has never demonstrated: consistent pocket presence, and the ability to read complex defenses. In a Jets offensive system that's built around quick, precise throws to elite receivers, those skills could be exactly what unlocks the team's championship potential. For Atlanta, moving Cousins would be about more than just salary cap relief, though that $50+ million they'd save would certainly help. It would be about fully committing to Michael Penix Jr. as their franchise quarterback and clearing the psychological hurdle that comes with having a benched, expensive veteran hovering over a young player's development. The Falcons could potentially recoup some draft capital while getting out from under a contract that's become more burden than asset. Meanwhile, the Jets would get a quarterback who, despite his recent struggles, has thrown for over 4,000 yards in multiple seasons and has extensive playoff experience. The Spielman Connection. More than just coincidence, Rick Spielman's presence in the Jets' front office isn't just a footnote in this story, it's potentially the most crucial element. Spielman and Cousins developed a strong working relationship during their time together in Minnesota, and that personal connection could be the bridge that makes an otherwise complicated trade negotiation surprisingly smooth. Spielman knows exactly what Cousins brings to the table, both his strengths and his limitations. He understands how to build an offensive system that maximizes Cousins' abilities while minimizing his weaknesses. If anyone in the Jets organization can make the case for why Cousins would work in New York, it's Spielman. The domino effect this potential trade represents more than just two teams swapping quarterbacks. It could trigger a cascade of moves across the league. If the Jets successfully acquire Cousins and he helps lead them to playoff success, it would validate the strategy of using midseason quarterback trades as a championship catalyst. Other contending teams would take notice, potentially creating a more active midseason quarterback market than we've ever seen before. Veterans like Russell Wilson, Ryan Tannehill, and others could suddenly find themselves in high demand as franchises look to replicate the Jets' hypothetical success. The human element beyond all the strategic analysis and salary cap mathematics, there's a human story here that shouldn't be overlooked. Cousins is 37 years old and facing what could be his last realistic chance to win a championship. The Jets, with their loaded roster and championship window, might represent his best opportunity to finally capture that elusive Super Bowl ring. For Fields, this scenario would provide the ultimate motivation. Nothing drives a competitive athlete quite like the knowledge that their organization is actively seeking alternatives. If this trade speculation reaches his ears, it could either light a fire under him or create additional pressure that leads to exactly the kind of struggles that would make the trade necessary. Looking ahead, when desperation meets opportunity as we head toward the 2025 season, this storyline has all the elements of a blockbuster trade that nobody sees coming until it happens. Two franchises with different timelines, different needs, but complementary problems that could solve each other's biggest headaches. The Jets need quarterback stability and championship experience. The Falcons need salary cap relief and a clean slate for their young quarterback. Sometimes in the NFL, the most unlikely partnerships create the most successful outcomes. Will Kirk Cousins actually end up wearing green and white by November? That remains to be seen. But the foundation for this trade is stronger than most people realize, and in a league where quarterback desperation can drive otherwise rational franchises to make bold moves, this story is worth watching very closely. The next few months could reveal whether two franchises are willing to bet their futures on the idea that sometimes the grass really is greener on the other side. What do you think? Could this be the trade that changes everything for both the Jets and Falcons? Share your predictions in the comments and smash that like button if you want to stay ahead of every major NFL storyline this season.